It was nearly midnight when Sarah stumbled out of the small, crumbling apartment with nothing but a thin jacket and her baby wrapped in a blanket. The rain came down in sheets, soaking her hair, her sleeves, her spirit. Behind her, the muffled yelling of her husband still echoed in her Minderman buried in debt and anger, who no longer saw her as human. With nowhere to go and just $20 in her pocket, she wandered through the quiet streets of the city, streetlights blurred behind the tears in her eyes. Her baby, barely 2, whimpered softly against her chest. She had no plan, no destination, just a mother's instinct to protect. Cars passed by, their headlights sweeping over her like she was invisible. The cold bit at her hands. Each step felt heavier than the last. Somewhere deep down, she whispered, "Just hold on a little longer," because sometimes all a mother can do is keep walking. Tired and broken, Sarah trudged through the rain-soaked streets, her heart heavy with despair. She had reached out to every passerby, hoping for a sign, a simple act of kindness. But no one stopped. No one offered help. The cold wind stung her skin as she wrapped her thin jacket tighter around her and her child, shivering uncontrollably. Her legs were giving out, the exhaustion and fear weighing her down. She stumbled, barely able to keep her balance, and found herself near a lonely overpass. She paused for a moment, too weak to move, her eyes blurry with tears. It felt like the world had turned its back on her. She could feel the darkness closing in. Just as she was about to collapse, a black SUV slowed down beside her. The engine hummed quietly, and for a brief moment, Sarah thought it might be another empty, indifferent vehicle driving by. But then, the door opened. A calm, quiet man stepped out, his demeanor reassuring in the midst of her chaos. Without hesitation, he offered her and her child shelter. His voice was gentle, as though he knew exactly what she was going through. Sarah didn't have the energy to question his kindness. She had no choice but to trust this stranger. With a mixture of hope and doubt, she took his hand, stepping into the warmth of the SUV, finally feeling the faintest glimmer of safety. Sarah sat quietly in the back of the SUV, clutching her child close to her chest, unsure of what to expect next. The man, Min, drove silently through the rainy night, his eyes focused on the road ahead. They passed through quiet streets before stopping in front of a small guest house behind his home. The warmth of the lights spilling out from the windows made the place seem like an oasis in the storm. Min led Sarah and her child inside, offering them a clean, comfortable space. The guest house was simple but well kept. A soft bed, a cozy blanket, and a sense of safety that Sarah hadn't felt in so long. She hesitated, unsure of whether she could trust this stranger, but her child's peaceful face calmed her worries. For the first time that night, she allowed herself to let go of her guard. She sat by the bed, watching her child sleep soundly, completely unaware of the storm outside or the struggles they had just endured. As the quiet of the night enveloped her, Sarah's emotions overwhelmed her. She let the tears fall silently, her sobs barely a whisper in the stillness. She cried for the pain of her past, for the fear that had gripped her heart, and for the uncertainty of the future. But in that moment, as she watched her child sleep so peacefully, she found a small glimmer of hope. Maybe this was the start of something better, something she had almost given up on. The next morning, as the first light of dawn gently filtered through the windows, Min sat beside Sarah, offering her a hot cup of coffee. The warmth of the drink was comforting, but it was his words that truly caught her attention. Min, with a calm and steady voice, shared a piece of his past, something Sarah hadn't expected. He told her that when he was a child, he and his mother had once lived under a bridge. They had nothing, no place to call home, and no one to turn to for help. His voice trembled slightly as he spoke, but there was strength in his vulnerability. Sarah listened, her heart heavy with empathy for him. She had never imagined that the man who had shown her such kindness had once faced his own darkness. It was a reminder that the pain she had been carrying wasn't hers alone, others had suffered too. Min's quiet empathy made her realize something she hadn't allowed herself to feel in a long time. Healing was possible. People who had been broken could heal, and, in turn, offer that healing to others. In that moment, Sarah understood. Min wasn't just offering shelter, he was offering hope. His story, shared without expectation, became a turning point for Sarah. It reminded her that, though life could be cruel and unpredictable, there was always room for compassion, for connection, and maybe, just maybe, there was hope for her and her child after all. With Min's steady guidance and unwavering support, Sarah's life slowly began to change. He helped her find a job at a local diner, a place where she could start fresh, earning enough to provide for her child. The work was hard, but it was honest, and for the first time in months, Sarah felt a glimmer of hope. She managed to rent a small, cozy apartment in a quiet neighborhood, one that felt like a true home. The walls, though bare, held the promise of new beginnings. As the days passed, Sarah started to rebuild herself, piece by piece. She spent every free moment making her new house a sanctuary for her child, who, despite everything they had been through, still had the brightest smile. The bond between mother and child grew stronger with each passing day. They were learning to find joy in the little things: a warm meal, a clean bed, and the laughter that filled their home once again. Though Sarah and Min parted ways, their connection remained. She was forever grateful for the kindness he had shown her when she had nothing left. He had not only given her shelter, but he had also given her strength. And now, as Sarah watched her child draw a picture of a family of 3, she knew a new chapter was unfolding. It was a quiet beginning, but it was hers, a family, a future, and the chance to heal. The path ahead might be uncertain, but for the first time in a long while, it felt hopeful.